Oh yeah, it's time. Game of Thrones is back. And also something screwy just happened, so I gotta fix something. Hang on, guys. Sorry. We're good. We're good here. Dang, that Winterfell shit's kind of loud. Woo! Okay, we're almost set. Sorry. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the show. Welcome to this week. And welcome to our first breakdown of a House of the Dragon episode. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into it, man. Excited to talk about it with you all. We are going to go over some other stuff later as well. We'll do some Marvel news and stuff like that. But man, first off, gotta get excited about House of the Dragon. So good. So good. Okay. Okay. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Oh, and you know what? I need to do a thing here. Let's do this. And we'll do that. Boom. Yeah, let's start it off, man. What would you rate the episode out of 10? Did you enjoy the episode? Was it dope to get back? Was it dope? You know what this episode made me realize? This episode made me realize how absolutely savage Game of Thrones fans are. Because the big complaint, like if you look out online, the big complaint, the thing that people are upset about is how they changed it from the books. They changed the ending, and it's less savage than what it was in the books. And people are like legitimately mad. And like beyond that, people were like, this is no red wedding. You're never going to top the red wedding. And I'm over here like, do we want to top the red wedding? Is that what we want? Like, I don't know, man. I'm good. Like, let the red wedding be the red wedding. So that was kind of interesting. It's interesting to see that fandom in action on Twitter. It's always interesting to watch a fandom on Twitter, dude. You know? And they were pretty upset. So we're going to get into that. We'll talk about the ending. We're going to talk about book changes. We're going to do a sort of frame by frame. I'm going to go through the whole episode, give you my thoughts on each individual part. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get into it. You know, one of the things I was sort of thinking about when I watched the show, and then I watched some other people's breakdowns, and I was just kind of absorbed in the conversation around the episode. One of the things you got to keep in mind is that this is a show that's adapting a book, but the book is a historical document. It has a lot of stuff from the Maesters, and then it's got stuff from Mushroom, and it has a bunch of different perspectives, right, of the events that happen. And another thing that's kind of interesting, I just saw this. Apparently George R.R. Martin said that the book leans green a little bit, meaning the Maesters and the people that were recounting what happened in the actual war were pretty anti-dragon and pretty anti-Targaryen, which is interesting. And I also heard, I've heard some speculation in different people's like fan communities and stuff that the Maesters may have been somewhat behind this conflict or pushed it in a certain direction, because the Maesters have sort of always wanted the dragons to go away. And the dragons and the Targaryens in general represent this big threat, right? And so it's kind of cool. Like, it's cool to think about some of that stuff popping up. Also, in the book, there's no, like, Night King. This was a creation of the show. There's the Night's King, which is a different thing in the books. So there's no Night King. It's interesting to watch the show tie into the lore of the original show a little bit and kind of set that up. So, like, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited, man. I'm actually genuinely excited to get into this, to break this down, because I thought it was fantastic. So we're going to start by breaking down House of the Dragon episode 1. I don't know how long that'll take us. So we're going to take our time. After that, I want to talk some Deadpool and Wolverine. Crazy news out there. It's getting into China. There was some reveals of new images. They look freaking awesome. I do have some questions about some of the stuff you see in the newly released photos. There's definitely like some scoopage and some rumors that we can talk about when it comes to some Sony Marvel stuff. Like, it's crazy. I actually have a video that's probably going to come out later today about Noel, the symbiote god. And this time it's real. This time it's for real. According to My Time to Shine. Hello. So I want to get into that because that's like bananas. Like, what the fuck? And then also there was some leaks about a plan for Spider-Man 2099 and Kang to be working together, which I think is kind of cool. That would have been awesome. And I think that is very telling, right? It sort of shows us where the mindset of Sony, where the mindset of Marvel is. And so I'm excited to get into that a little bit later as well. Kang is whack. Yeah, I kind of agree. Before we get into the House of the Dragon breakdown, what's going on with you guys? And you know what? We are still driving for memberships. This membership goal thing, I don't even know. Like, it claims that that's where we're at. So, I don't know. I'll put it up there. But I've been thinking, man, I've got to do some extra streams, and I've been thinking about an idea for a subathon. Let me lay this on you guys. Let me see what you would think. So first of all, I kind of want to do a stream tomorrow, maybe just on Twitch, maybe on Twitch and here, where I try to get infinite in a single stream with Marvel Snap. And I'm thinking of doing one of those crazy things where it's like, I don't turn the stream off until I hit infinite. Those of you that are still playing, like, how long do you think it would take me to get to infinite? And I haven't really been playing a lot. So let's say I'm like level 10, level 20. I don't even know. How long do you think it would take me to get, like, if I just grinded straight through, how long would it take me to get to infinite? Like 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, 5 days? What? Does Elisa approve? Well, I'd have to figure something out and make sure that she knows I'll be streaming all day. 3 weeks? You guys are crazy. If not, maybe 8 hours. You think 8 hours? I don't know. I feel like I could do it in like 3 or 4 hours. Like, if I really sat down. Homie thought he was built different. I am built different. Now Now I kind of feel like it's a challenge. Have you ever made infinite? That's a good question. Let me think about how to answer that. No. You might do it in 6 hours? Nice. You need the current cards? What's the current meta? Week-long stream? Okay. Well, look, we'll talk about that. I want to do something like that because, like, I got to do my part, right? If we're trying to drive for members, I can't just come on and do, like, our regular streams and be like, yeah, we need more members. Like, I got to do something extra, incentivize some fun with the members. So I was like, okay, I could do a stream tomorrow where I play Snap. And then maybe if people, like, gift a certain amount of members or subs, I could then play them in a game of Snap, and if they beat me, I'll send them out a t-shirt or something. You know what I mean? That's something I thought about. Now here's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Here's something I was thinking about. Also, I gotta fix this. I feel like it's a little too bright in here, don't you think? I feel like that's good. Here's something else I was thinking about. What if I did a subathon? Okay. And like every sub added 2 minutes to the stream. We might have to cap it. Like we could cap it at like 24 hours. But what if I did a subathon? And during the subathon, I just read comics with you guys. Like, so I was looking at, there's an omnibus. There's actually 2 omnibuses. You know what I mean? 2 omnibuses. For Jonathan Hickman's Avengers. Okay? And I mean, it's like 1,000 comics, I think. I think it was like 500 each volume. I'd have to check again. But like, part of me thinks that would be like boring. That's not like really an exciting stream. Like, it would of course be hilarious to see if I could actually read comics for like 24 hours. Like, that would be nuts. But I just don't know. It's like 528 pages. Maybe more. For the whole thing or for the omnibus? I feel like that's for one part. Because there's Avengers Part 1 and Avengers Part 2 of Hickman's thing. I kind of feel like it's more than that. I don't know. I was just throwing around some ideas, okay? Now, I had another idea. And I want to do this, but this would be for something separate. This wouldn't be for like a subathon. Because I couldn't handle it. Omnibus, it's like 1,200? Jesus. But I'm like, okay. Because I was like thinking about that. And I was like, dude, that would be crazy. But I'd have to speak very softly. Because you can't talk for like 24 hours straight. Like a lot of streamers, if they do a subathon, they like play games or they watch something. You know what I mean? If I was actually reading comics the whole time, that would be crazy. Like, I would need to, like, not talk after that. Like, maybe forever. Like, that would be crazy. Okay, so this is another idea I had. And we'll get into we're going to get into the House of the Dragon. I'm excited to talk about House of the Dragon, but check it out. Watch the Infinity Saga for a subathon. I thought about that. We'd have to do it on Twitch. See, like, that's another problem is YouTube and Twitch have different rules. Like, YouTube is really strict. So if I did, because I would want there to be something on the screen, not just like me staring into the void. You know what I mean? Can you read comics after smoking? Yeah. Wait, what do you mean? What? The Omnibus Volume 1 is almost 1,200 pages? Jesus. Oh my God. Josh, you can't still watch the movie live on Twitch. Wait, what do you mean? Yes, I thought you can. Wait, what? I thought that's the whole thing. Like, Twitch, you could do that. Acolyte has a bigger budget than House of the Dragon. That's crazy. No, you can't. Wait, what do you mean? That's kick? No, I've literally seen Twitch people do this, dude. Like, isn't this a thing where I remember Pokimane was literally watching anime episodes, and I know it, dude. Like Nicholas Light TV. This guy literally reacts to anime on his Twitch. How about 2 minutes of belly rubbing for each sub? Jesus Christ. Okay, so here's the other idea, and you guys will really like this idea, but I am going to drag my feet on this because it's going to be painful, okay? So, imagine this. Imagine I do trivia live, okay? And each trivia I do is 100 questions. And if I miss more than 15, then I get shot with a paintball gun. And then every subsequent question that I miss after that, I get shot again by a paintball gun. Yeah. So I was like, I'll set it up back there. So we'll have like the paintball gun on one side. Geekdom watches DBZ on Twitch. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could do it. Like, they could shut it down, but I think you can do it. They don't really enforce it on Twitch. Yeah. So, what that would be like, we'd have to have it as like a tiered thing where like every $100 we raise in the stream, I would do another 100 questions. And also, I would wear a ton of layers. Okay? A ton of layers. And then people could pay $50 or $100 to get me to take one of the layers off. Which sounds dirty, but really like you would be doing it so it hurt me more. Yeah. Yeah, I'm basically selling my body in pain now. It's just like fun ideas. Like I was thinking over the weekend, I was like, you know, look, I love what we do and I love just breaking down the news, but also like I want to do some kind of fun, more meaningful streams. I kind of like a lot of these crazy streams that I've seen other people do. And so I was just throwing around some ideas. You will be naked by the first question. Oh, geez. But here's the thing that you guys don't understand. I won't miss any of the questions. I am like all knowing when it comes to these nerdy things. So like you guys could try, you know, but I'll just be like 100 in a row, 100 in a row, 100 in a row. And after a while, that'll probably be lame. You know, you guys will probably get fed up. You'll be like, I don't understand. Yeah, something like that could be cool. Rossi says, I'll be MIA for a little bit more because I'm taking a Microsoft Office certification course. I won't be dead or anything. I'm missing the next 2 months. A Microsoft Office certification course? So, Rossi, firstly, I'm going to miss you. Second of all, like, are you getting a job in the mid-90s? Because what the fuck? Microsoft Office? Microsoft Office? What? I don't understand. What do you do with a Microsoft Office? What is it? Certification or yeah, Microsoft Office certification. What do you do with that? It's a valid cert needed for a job? Okay, jeez. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't live in the real world, okay? I talk about nerdy shit. Okay, I don't know real life. Sheesh. Microsoft Office. Okay. All right. All right, Microsoft Office. Let's go. Let's get it. You know what I should do? Just to spite Rossi. I should get the Microsoft Office certification thing on stream and do it before he does. For no reason. I don't need that shit. It's a business management course in logistics. What? It's a business management course in logistics, so you need it. Okay, cool. Every Microsoft Office question you get wrong, you get shot by paintballs. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Josh be like, what the fuck is an electrician? No. I know about electricians because I had to get kind of like one for the air conditioner unit. So, you know, our paths crossed that way. So, yeah. Josh, do you see any of making a subathon? Did you see my idea about making a subathon to raise money for a good cause? Yeah, I'm definitely not against that. I mean, I think that would be fun. It still is just about coming up with a cool idea. And beyond a subathon, just having cool things to do in the content. You know what I mean? Like, I've just been trying to think of cool things we could do on stream. You know nothing, Jon Snow? Yeah, that's probably true. What about an automatic airsoft gun? I mean, I don't know much about airsoft guns. Are they like pretty powerful these days? Dude, Tim, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is the course taught by Clippy? I was like, Microsoft Office? Like that stupid little clipboard thing that like pops up and tells you you're doing shit wrong? Crazy. Interesting. That's interesting. Office is still the most widely used app. What? How? So what's Microsoft Office? Like Word, Excel? It's probably all like Excel, really, huh? Get an ice bath in the background? Get a question wrong and go in the tub? Oh, dude, fuck that. I hate cold exposure. I tried it a couple of times and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like, there's all these, like, health benefits and, like, you know, people talk about the ice baths a lot. And all it took was one podcast. I watched one podcast where the guy was like, you know, a lot of that ice bath stuff is actually overblown. It's actually not that beneficial for you. And I was like, I believe that guy, and I'm done. So that's pretty much what it is. Is this a hot D stream or just an update chill stream? Okay, geez. Let's get into the House of the Dragon. You know, geez. Just want to throw a couple ideas by chat, but no more. All right, wait. Let me find. Where did I have this pulled up? Okay, bada boom, bada bing. Let's get this pulled up. House of the Dragon. Wait, what? No way. I just tested this. And now it's gonna. Don't tell me. Don't tell me it's gonna go. It's black screen on me. What the hell? All right, let me check. Hang on. We can figure this out. I think we'll have to go into Chrome. They're doing that stupid thing where they're stopping me from. Max. All right, hang on now. Everybody relax. Everybody relax. All right, hopefully this, because I'm pretty sure this will let me watch it. Ha ha! I tricked it. All right. All right, let's get into this. And I kind of want... Oh, wait, I can't really have any of the audio going on here because it'll screw it up for me. Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind here. Of course, they did the recap. A lot of us watched it and remember basically what happened. And the very end of last season is kind of like the beginning of the actual Dance of Dragons. Like, it's the beginning of the actual Civil War. And we begin on a scene at the wall. I thought this was great, man. You've got this shot in the north of a raven going to Winterfell. And I mean, I kind of thought obviously right away this was going to be the message about the death of the homie's brother. And I absolutely loved going back to the north. The music was awesome. It's technically not the exact same theme. It's changed slightly, but it felt awesome to revisit it. It's very nostalgic, man. Like, despite everything that happened with the original series and how it ended and how pissed off many of us were, it's still, like, iconic. And it still feels awesome to go back to these different places. And I particularly enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the vibes. I liked this whole idea of this thing that Kragan started, where 1 in 10 men are recruited to go to the wall. And, you know, they talk about it in the show, but when the North was originally conquered, when the original Stark bent the knee to the Targaryens, it was not just because of the dragons. It was because they knew, the Stark dude knew, that peace was a better thing for the realm. And so that begins the Starks as keeping oaths and being the wardens of the North. And long before that had happened, the wall was built. And it's just cool. Like, it's cool to see a Targaryen come up to the north, meet with a Stark, go to the wall. Like, dude, the shots of the wall and, like, actually going up on the wall, that was super fun, super cool. And it's reminiscent of something that happened like 1,000 years ago when the first Stark bent the knee. And there's some interesting stuff going on here. Like, I love how you've got Kragan, who, of course, he's honorable, right? He's a Stark. He's going to follow his oath. But beyond that, he just had something happen to him with one of his uncles. So they kind of skip over this. This technically would have happened in the first season, and they skip over it. But essentially, Kragan's father dies when he's very young. I think he's like 13. And Kragan's dad's brother rules in his stead as the young Kragan, who is the heir, ages up. And it becomes this thing where he doesn't want to give up the power, right? And again, they skip over that. They don't really talk about it in the show, but it's part of why Kragan is sympathetic to the blacks, because it's a similar situation with somebody that shouldn't have had the power kind of coming in, family squabbles and stuff like that. And he takes him to the wall because he wants to show him how epic it is in the true North. He talks about how the dragons, when they first came to Winterfell, would not cross the wall, which I found fascinating. I thought that was awesome. Like, the dragons themselves, these incredibly powerful beings, would not cross the wall. And he has this line where he's like, do you really believe my ancestors would have built this 700-foot wall that your ancestors' dragons wouldn't cross for just wildlings and weather? Like, no, there's something really important that we have to stand guard against. And this has to do with, of course, the Night King and the Long Night and all this prophecy and all these crazy things. So it's a really cool way to start this episode and anchor us in the lore of all of Westeros, and going all the way back to the first men. Yeah, this is just something like super big, super epic. I also absolutely love that he's got the big Valyrian sword here, which of course Ned Stark uses in the OG show before Tywin melts it down. The actor that plays Kragan, I thought he was great. Like, I thought this dude was fantastic. This was a really cool scene. Hit me right in the feels. Now, unfortunately, apparently Kragan Stark is not going to be in the rest of this season, which kind of sucks, if I'm being honest. Because he's really cool. I wish I could switch this. Can I? Oh, geez. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell just happened? Okay, well, let's pull this over here. And let's get this back up here. Okay, cool. So I can see this now. Ha ha! Excellent. Now I can see chat better. Okay, cool. Yeah, so no Kragan in the rest of the season, which sucks. We know that he's going to play a large role towards the end of this story. We watched the recap video on Friday, and Kragan Stark and the Northmen, they have a huge thing to do at the end of this. So that's really cool. But yeah, they're not going to be involved in this season at all. So it's like a little bit bittersweet, man. It was cool to get the Starks. But yeah, you're not going to be really getting them anymore in the show. He gets the Raven. And news drops, and the war has essentially started. Now, I love this part here. Daemon coming in, and, you know, Daemon is such an interesting character. He is really not a great dude, and yet he's compelling. Like, emotionally, he's compelling, and I think that we're drawn to him. A lot of people really like Daemon. I like Daemon quite a bit, and he's kitted up here. He's ready for war, and at this point, he wants to just go to King's Landing, and he wants to, like, wreak havoc, and he wants to kill Aemon. Now, at this point, even though there has technically been dragon-on-dragon conflict already, the dragons have not been unleashed onto the world. This mirrors a little bit of in the later seasons of Game of Thrones, where a lot of the people in Westeros are trying to talk Daenerys down from just unleashing her dragons, because they really are kind of like nuclear weapons. They would cause mass destruction, and there's the potential for, once dragon fire starts flying, that, like, people are just gonna rebel, because that's just horrible in general. They would do anything possible to get rid of that, to be rid of that. And at this point, like, Daemon is just rip-roaring, ready to go. We also learned through this scene that Rhaenyra she's been gone. I believe he says 4 weeks. I could be wrong about that, but I believe he says she's been gone for weeks, at least days, because she's trying to find evidence of the death of her son. And this is not something that's in the books, from what I understand. We get to the point where she does find the remains, and it's like closure for her. And we have her just explaining that to Daemon, and Daemon is still just ready to go. And yeah, he's not king. He's kind of trying, though, or at least it feels like to me, he is trying to impose his authority as being essentially married to the rightful queen, and she's just not having it. She's not about it. So I thought that was a cool scene. Now, we do then cut to Corlys, I believe, right? And Corlys is looking a little bit better, a little bit more active. He's trying to get his ship built up. And this freaking guy is apparently his bastard son. I wonder if he's shaving his head and shaving his beard on purpose so that people can't tell that he is Valyrian. This is also the guy that played father in Raised by Wolves. I absolutely love this dude. This dude is a fantastic actor. Just made like a video game recently too, which is pretty cool. And this guy is apparently the bastard son of Corlys. And you can see the bond starting to build here. And apparently this guy and maybe his brother are potentially dragon seed, right? Yeah, and I think his name is Aelin or Alan or something like that. Yeah, so this dude is a potential dragon seed. Now, what the dragon seeds are, we talked about this a little bit on Friday. At one point, they're going to get a bunch of either Valyrian or Targaryen bastards to be able to bond with dragons in order to have more dragon riders for the war. His name is Alan. Yeah, so either him or his brother, I think, are going to end up becoming Dragon Seed. And that's going to be interesting because the Dragon Seed is one of the things I'm really keen to see how the show handles. There's another character that's going to have an interesting scene within this episode that also becomes Dragon Seed and possibly is like one of the problematic Dragon Seed, like a guy that kind of shifts back and forth between the sides and ends up wanting to become king himself, which is really interesting. We'll get there. But he is apparently the one that dragged Corlys out of the sea, saving him. He also gives him the blade that he had given his illegitimate grandson. And remember that he gave him all of his land, basically. He made him in charge of his estate, right? And I think it was help me out, chat. I think it's Lucian. Is that the guy? The kid that died? Is it Lucian? I think it's an L name. But yeah, so this is kind of interesting. It's building up that relationship, which I'm sure will come into play later. And Corlys has a really interesting arc. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So then we cut over here. It's kind of, this is cool. We get to see one of these dealy-dallies. Remember in Game of Thrones, Cersei eventually gets them to make these at the end. And these do kill one of the dragons in the original Game of Thrones show. And it was like they uncovered how to make this. I believe they're called scorpions, right? And so they sort of show that back then when the dragons were more active, there was more warfare and more technology around that was essentially used to fight against them, right? So this gets lost. This whole thing gets lost to time because the dragons kind of go away for a long time. It's eventually resurrected later on in Game of Thrones. But it's a pretty cool shot, interesting sequence. It shows that they are at the ready for any dragons that come in. They realize it's Vhagar, and they're like, okay, yeah, no, we're chill. So then we get a scene here with the Queen and with Aegon. And, dude, the Queen is definitely having those visions, right? She talks about the rats. And this is something that her father had. And maybe even one of the reasons that the whole war starts, because he had... Viserys had what is known as dragon dreams, something connected in his blood from back in the day to the magic of the dragons or something. He has dragon dreams. So he's having visions, and I think one of the visions he has is basically why he says that last thing to Alicent, which makes her think that Aegon is the prince that was promised, right? So this is kind of an interesting scene, and I mean, nobody's going to end up listening to this girl at all, but it is kind of cool that she keeps having these moments where, we then cut into a scene with Sir Criston Cole, going down on the Queen and them having this crazy love affair. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this because it shows that she's beginning to shed this actual principled, more innocent, more traditional, I guess, mask that she wears in season 1. A lot of the core of her claim is based on tradition. It's based on upholding tradition. And that's ironic because now she is like breaking tradition, doing dishonorable things as the Queen, with the leader of the Kingsguard. And Sir Criston Cole, also a guy that claims to believe, in honor and duty and the sanctity of all these sort of things. And he's also going right along with it, too. So it's compelling, but it also shows the sort of beginning of her very notable hypocrisy. And the homie and they decide, like, they can't do it anymore. But spoiler alert, we see them doing it more later on in the episode. Yeah, so pretty cool, pretty interesting, pretty fun. We get to a small council meeting. This was cool. I got a little bit of a Joffrey vibe here from Aegon. And look, I'll tell you this. I like what they did with Aegon in this episode, but didn't it feel, and I wonder if any of you guys felt this, didn't it feel like a little bit of a leap from last season? Like, I looked at this guy last season as being like a real prick, like pretty twisted, not really redeemable. And then in this episode, they give you like a little flash of some Joffrey stuff here, but then he pulls it back. And then all of his meeting with the common folk, it kind of threw me a little bit, right? Yeah, he didn't even want to be king. Yeah, he was kind of like a bum. Now that he's crowned, he's clearly changed. I mean, I guess that's fair. Look, it's really just to serve to sympathize him because of what happens to his son and because of what's going to happen from here, right? So it's just to sympathize him, but it did feel like maybe a little bit of a turn that felt a little inorganic to me. But we have basically the setup in this entire thing. You know, you have this little moment with his son, and I've heard people talking about this with the fact that he was never really brought in the same way that he's trying to bring his son in. Like Viserys never did this to the kid, which is kind of interesting. Again, it sort of humanizes him because he does like his son. It shows that Otto Hightower is still doing Otto Hightower things and basically pulling the strings. And it also shows that people are kind of undermining Alicent, which is so interesting because she is the whole reason that any of these people have power, right? You know, I was recalling back to the scene where Otto told a young Alicent to go to the king after his wife dies. Like, do you remember this? Like, because it's like super creepy. Like, Otto is like playing the Game of Thrones like hard, man. Like from the jump, we can kind of see that, like, oh, Otto is definitely playing these games like right away. Her and Sir Foot Fetish guy are probably the two most obvious players of the game to me. And I kind of like that. You know, it's compelling. It's interesting as characters. So this whole scene is cool. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Essentially, the prevailing wisdom is we don't want to start an all-out conflict. But also a lot of people are basically saying, like, it's kind of inevitable. But how it happens has to be important. Because I think what Otto's trying to say, and he's going to continue to kind of say this throughout, you know, this episode. Otto's whole thing is like, dude, you can't just have the dragons annihilate whole parts of the realm, because that will put in a deep-seated hatred from a lot of different houses and a lot of different communities towards the crown. And it's like you have to do this within balance, you know? Like, if you just destroy everything, like, people are not going to follow you, and then you're going to have unstopped civil war, and that's just unsustainable, right? So that's basically what Otto's saying, is like, we just have to be careful on how we handle this. And a lot of the other people, I mean, especially Aemon, just disagree, and they think conflict is like inevitable and it's got to go. Also interesting that Aemon was summoned there by the king. That was kind of cool. We get this part here with Sir Loras Foot Fetish homie. And yeah, he's a little bit jealous. Did anybody else pick up on this? He's a little bit jealous that man, there's just so many fucking names in this show. The leader of the Kingsguard, that he's been kind of getting it in with the queen, so he's a little bit jealous. But he's also, again, trying to establish his value to her. He's like, look, I found all the people that betrayed us and literally killed them all. I've picked your new team. Like, they're all good. You're all good. So he's like, just continuing. Yeah, Sir Kristen Cole. Yeah. He's continuing to just try to show value because, look, he's trying to get another look at those toes. You know what I mean? He's trying to get a little bit more toe action. And that was kind of interesting. You get a little bit of a solid moment here with Alicent kind of wanting to be alone and bathing. Then we get the shots of Rhaenyra finally finding the body. I thought this was cool. This was cathartic. This is something that's, again, not in the book, at least as far as I understand it. But it's a cool character moment for her. and a lot of nonverbal acting here, and she absolutely kills it. She has one line in this entire first episode, and the line is that she wants Aemon Targaryen, right? So an emotional scene, definitely hitting heavy, man. Definitely really crazy. And then we get the petitions. And this was really fun, man. This was a fun scene. The showrunners have talked about how they really want to put a lot of focus on the regular folk, right? And there's a reason for this. There's an event that's going to happen, probably not this season, probably either next season or the one beyond it, because I think I believe they're just doing like 4 seasons of this. I think the showrunners have talked about that a little bit up, although I'm not 100%. So there's an event that's going to happen in which a lot of the people in King's Landing are going to riot and do irreparable damage to the Targaryens and their dragons. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about if you've read the book or if you've watched like videos on the lore and stuff. So that is coming. And it's massive. Like the Targaryens are never the same after this. So I think the show is trying to set up a tension between the regular folk of the realm and the Targaryens and the Greens and the Blacks and all of these highborn people. So that's going to be really interesting. So this guy's like, dude, y'all took some of my sheep. Aegon's like, dude, we can give you your sheep back. And then this guy, I love this part, dude, because it's so like honest, where Aemon's like, yeah, but maybe we could just give him his sheep back. He did travel a long way. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, like if I would do the same thing. I'm like, okay, so we can't give everybody, you know, their sheep back. But this guy, I mean, he's kind of chill. Like this guy's kind of cool, man. I kind of like his vibe. So can we give him his sheep back? And then Otto impresses upon Aegon that he's like, no, dude, you can't do that. And Aegon's like, nobody will know. And he's like, dude, you're the king. Whenever you talk, everybody hears. Like everybody's going to hear what you say. It's like, I've heard of this in leadership and like, you know, entrepreneurial classes and shit like that, where people are like, you know, the one thing when you get to a leadership position within an organization, you got to realize that whatever you say carries extra weight. And so sometimes you actually can't be the one to like lay certain demands or certain ideas down. And you got to be careful with how you talk. So I was like, yeah, that's really cool. And I guess it would make sense. Because basically, if that dude got his sheep back, right? What do you think the first thing he's going to do? He's probably going to like go to the pub and be like, holy shit, King Aegon's awesome. He gave me my sheep back, dude. And everybody in the bar is going to be like, what? And then that news is going to spread like wildfire, right? Kind of crazy. So he's like, upon further thought, you know, Otto, you know, talked me down. No sheep. Sorry, bro. Now, this guy, I had no idea that this guy's going to be super important. But this is Hugh Hammer. Yeah. So this is another Targaryen bastard. And it's kind of interesting. Like, I wonder here, is he just like older? I don't know. He must be. I mean, apparently he's part Targaryen, you know, but I'm wondering, is like there a little bit of gray there just because he's old, or is some of the Targaryen or Valyrian stuff features coming out in him? I'm not really sure. But here's what's kind of crazy. So this guy, he wants to be paid up front by the crown for making the scorpions, which are essentially, you know, to shoot the dragons, to take the dragons down. Okay. But apparently he is going to become a dragon seed. And he's not just going to become a dragon seed, unless I am mistaken. He is going to become one of those super problematic dragon seed that kind of switches sides back and forth. And eventually, I think he kind of wants to become king. I'm pretty sure, like, he's one of the guys, because we were watching the video on Friday. I'm pretty sure he's one of the guys that eventually says, like, he demands a crown of sorts. So isn't that wild? That, like, they're setting this dude up, and all they did was just, he represents the Smiths. He's coming in, and he's like, we just want to be paid up front. And then he's eventually going to become a dragon rider that causes a lot of problems for a lot of these characters. That is interesting. And yeah, he does kind of look like Balin. He does kind of look like Balin, and that's cool. And that's cool. And I was like, dang, that's kind of fun. So I like this scene where he's going to pay him up front. Then we have Sir Foot Fetish Guy getting a word in, planting an inception in King Aegon. And he basically just wants Aegon to not have Otto as his hand. And again, because this dude is playing the Game of Thrones, just like Otto, he probably recognizes, like, I don't want a dude like Otto around because I want to have the influence. I want to have the favor with the crown. And Otto is one of those guys that he'll actually sort of sniff out what I'm doing. And I don't like that. So that was kind of cool. I like this scene with Otto and Allison, man. This was kind of interesting. And she's talking about how he undermined her at the small council. And that if he continues to do this, her sons will no longer listen to her. And he kind of admits that she's right. He doesn't like outright say it, but he's like, I hadn't thought about it like that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's kind of honest as a father seeing it through the lens of a father with his daughter and her sons. I thought that was interesting. And they're talking about, you know, trying to navigate this situation, the mistakes that were made before, and just trying to win the war. And they both have the same idea. They both want the same outcome, but they're kind of coming to it through different ways, which is interesting. I like that scene a lot. I thought it was cool. Let us see here. Oh, yeah. So we get this lady. Now, I wanted to ask you, chat. Is this going to end up being the lady that maybe Daemon runs away with? Because, you know, one of the things when we were watching the video on Friday, there's going to be a big battle with Daemon. It's going to be crazy. And one, like in the books, it's unclear if he dies. Oh, that's Nettles. Okay, so that's a different person. Person we haven't met yet, or have we? Well, either way, she's a person that was sort of like the bald homie, the eunuch in original Game of Thrones, where she has a bunch of secrets and information and spies in King's Landing. Viserys, right? And so basically that's who she is. She had helped Otto in a transactional way. Daemon's like really upset about it, but she ends up helping Daemon out by getting information on people in the city that could potentially help him take Aemond out. So this was kind of cool. And again, it kind of shows a little bit of the mercy here from Daemon. I think he does have a soft spot for pretty ladies because he's super fucking pissed. And I would have thought he would have struck her down, but he didn't. So he ends up getting to the city. Or, oh, no, this is the conversation he has with the brother before she comes back. And then she comes back. She's obviously super pissed, super upset. She says she wants Aemon. And Daemon sort of takes that as a go-ahead, right? He's like, okay, now I have the green light. I can take this dude out. Daemon brokers a deal with her to get the info. Oh, this scene was super sad too, man. This scene was super sad. He comes back, talks about his mission, but he's like crying and Yeah, it was really emotional, dude. You know? And then they have like a little mock funeral for him, for his brother. It was good. It was good stuff. And it's juxtaposed with her praying in the same room that her and Rhaenyra prayed when they were younger. And she's praying for lost people, including the boy that died. Right? So it's kind of interesting. And people are going to think of this as a weakness from Alicent, but she is sympathetic. Even in the midst of this war, she is sympathetic. Now, I wonder if that'll change after the events of the end of this episode, right? But for now, yeah, she's chilling. Okay, now, blood and cheese. We get the blood and cheese stuff here with Daemon coming into the city and finding this dude getting taken to the rat catcher. And this scene was really interesting. I think one of the biggest questions, a lot of the questions that fans have is like, what did Daemon tell him? Because they specifically ask, what? Dude, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Lucerys? Is that how you say it? Yeah, the dog kicker. Yeah, right. So these guys specifically asked Daemon, what do we do if we don't find Aemon? And then it cuts away. And it's like, did he say to them, like, any son will do? Did he say to them, like, it has to be Aemon? Like, I'm sort of interested in what was actually said there. And this is, by the way, a big change. A big change. Because in the books, they find, first of all, there's another son, right? Which a lot of people thought they would add to the show. They did not. At least they have not yet. And in the book, at this point, they find both sons and the daughter, and they're like all awake, and they make her choose which son. Okay. And then she switches to they switch to the other one, and they kill the one she didn't pick, and it's like super fucked up. And again, this was like, I was shocked at how many Game of Thrones fans were upset by this and thought that they sort of pulled their punches. They went a little bit softer with it. I just, through the lensing of the show, I liked it. I thought it was cool. Oh yeah, and then we get this scene here too, where they're kind of plotting for war together. I really like these two together, man. Like, I like these two. I like the relationship that they have. And they both just want to, like, lobby the king to go hard and to go into battle and to make it a big conflict. And Otto was probably peeping on them, and he comes in, and he's got his own sort of attitude for the prince and his lesson for Aemon. And then the very last minute of the show, which I think is like 10, 15 minutes of the finale, we just see blood and cheese going through the castle and eventually getting to where they would take out Aegon's son. And they pass through the castle with Aegon drinking with his buddies. Nobody's really paying them any mind. They get all the way up to the top. And then they end up killing the son. Now, again, in the book, it's a little bit more savage because they literally ask her, which one do you want us to kill? She picks the youngest one because she thinks, I guess she thinks maybe it's like it'll be less crazy for him because he doesn't really know what's going on. So he won't suffer as much. But what ends up happening is they kill the other one, and then the young son has to deal with the fact that the mom wanted to kill him for like the rest of his life. It's like really fucked up, really twisted, right? But that's not what happens in this one. That's not what happens. In this one, there's only the one son. She literally points out that it is the boy because they're twins, so they look very similar. And she literally points out that it is the boy. And then they have this like crazy moment where they're trying to figure out if she's lying or not. And the rat catcher's like, nah, like, she's telling the truth. Like, that's actually the boy. And then this scene is really brutal because technically the kid's like, he wakes up and then they start like cutting off his head and it's like horrifying, really, really messed up. She grabs the girl, she runs away, and she ends up getting to where Allison is once again with Sir Kristen Cole. And yeah, all hell's about to break loose. And we can see later on, there's like a trailer that they released and they did this cool little like interview thing at the end too. Thought it was really cool. But you can see in the trailer for next week, like shit is about to pop off because obviously Aegon's going to be very upset about this and they will probably lose control of him at this point. Also, there's going to be a rift that forms between Rhaenyra and between Daemon, because even though she said that, where she was like, I want Aemon, the fact that he then does this thing and cuts the head off of Aegon's heir, that's like a whole totally different thing, which is going to make her look a little less legitimate because kinslaying is considered to be such an egregious affront, right? And it's also just going to set this thing off like as a powder keg because now the actual king in King's Landing just lost a son. And like, I cannot imagine how crazy he's going to go. And yeah, we kind of sympathize with him. That's what I think part of this episode is like, we're meant to see him with his son. He has a relationship with him. He loves him very much. That's obvious, right? And we also see that he's actually trying to be chill with the common folk. So we kind of sympathize with him a little bit. And then he loses a son. And now we're like kind of ready. There's going to be a catharsis when he takes him out and goes crazy. So hot damn, dude. I thought it was fantastic. It's a little quick. There's a lot that happens in the episode. Not a ton of action. But it is an incredible setup for what is to come. I think I can see all the dominoes that are being set up. It's going to be crazy to watch them all fall apart. Now, is this the brother? This is the brother. Now, he is likely also a Targaryen, and I wondered, does he dye his hair so that he doesn't look like a Valyrian? That's kind of interesting. I want to look at this guy again. You can kind of see some of it. I don't know. You can kind of see some of it. Yeah, that would be interesting. I wonder if they dyes his hair. Interesting. Yeah, so I thought it was a fantastic first episode, man. Like, it has everything you want from Game of Thrones. I thought it was a brilliant choice to begin the episode at the North, kind of take us back to the Starks, take us back to, like, honor, and also, like, take us back to 1,000 years ago when the Starks first bent the knee. The whole idea of, like, ice and fire, a song of ice and fire. It's really interesting because, of course, that is Jon Snow. Aegon is still alive, even though apparently they're not making that show anymore. Aegon still alive. Hey, look, this is the Smith. This is the guy this is Hugh Hammer. What's Hugh Hammer doing here? Interesting. Another lady in red, like Melisandre. That's going to be cool. I think Otto's probably going to get the boot. Because he doesn't want to hear that shit no mo. Dragon eggs bonding with some dragon seed. Oh, man, it's going to be cool. Daemon. And like I said, there's a rift forming between Daemon and Rhaenyra. That's going to be interesting to watch develop as well. Pretty cool. Yeah, super cool, man. That's going to be fun. Can't wait for next week, man. Super cool. So, what did you guys think? Any questions? Any comments? Anything I missed? Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about these dragons. So good. A1 exec FPS says it's only been 120 plus years since Aegon's conquest of Westeros till this point in House of the Dragon season 2. Interesting. And that's about I've heard people say it's about 200 years before the show, right? Game of Thrones, the first show. Corliss looking slow and old. Yeah, he's still recovering from his injuries. So he's he's a little bit old and a little bit slow. There are a lot more bastards. Yeah, I'm sure. Happy Father's Day. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah. Happy Father's Day to you. Why Disney rushed their content? Season of House Hot D took 2 years. How long did it take to make the Acolyte? Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess Acolyte was greenlit like 4 years ago. I'm not sure how, I'm not really sure how long it took them to shoot it or whatever. But, yeah. Daemon ordered to kill the silver hair with one eye. He did say that, yes. But they literally asked him, which was like a little bit too on point for me. It was a little too on the nose. But he was like, what do we do if we can't find him? And then they don't show his answer. Nice to see Josh get to know what real storytelling is and not the Acolyte trash. And happy Father's Day. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I mean, I understand people don't like the Acolyte, and like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't even think I'm gonna watch any more of it. So I probably won't be able to answer a lot of questions about it because I'm not really gonna watch it. Now, maybe I'll check out the rest of it if they bring in some Sith and they have some really cool stuff like that. But like, I'm not interested. According to Star Wars Meg, they're going to do something else crazy in episode 4, which is going to drive everybody crazy. So. Stud OC Matt says, I got a vibe of foot fetish guy trying to drive a rift between Aegon and Aemon when him and Aegon are talking on the balcony. Listen closely to that convo. Okay, interesting. So, a rift between Aegon and Aemon. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The boys and Hot D greater than the Acolyte? Yeah, I mean, of course, but I don't think that's very hard. I think the Acolyte's... I mean, Acolyte's doing Acolyte things, you know? Like, this is exactly what Leslie wanted the show to be, you know? And I don't know what kind of reaction she thought she would get or what the goal of Lucasfilm actually is. Like, I don't know. And I'm really beyond giving a shit, to be honest with you. Like for me, you know, maybe Skeleton Crew will be cool, and I'll check out parts of that. Ahsoka Season 2, I'll definitely check out. You know, I'm going to give the movies a shot. Like, even the Rey movie, I'm going to give the movies a shot. But, like, legitimately, the conversation around Star Wars is only about how bad and how fucked up everything is over there. Like, I'm sure there are people out there that are just enjoying Acolyte and kind of, like, in their own little corners of the internet, you know, talking about it, getting excited about it. That's cool. You know, that's fine. I'm just not, I'm not one of those people. I'm like totally over it. . 'Cause, 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 ' I'm just totally over it. I'm going to switch my title and thumbnail now because I want to talk about some of the Marvel news. I want to talk about that. I would much rather talk about that. Ooh, something weird just happened with my chat. What the fuck? It got all crazy. It got all crazy. Rossi says, Den of Not Acolyte. Yeah. Skeleton Crew hyped. Look, that's cool. If you're hyped up for a Skeleton Crew. I'm not saying, by the way, I am not saying that I couldn't get hyped up for Skeleton Crew. Like, it would just require me hearing something that I haven't yet heard. Because everything I've heard so far is like, okay. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm glad we're talking about good content today. Positive Monday vibes. Oh, hell yeah, man. And I personally think, like, because I watched the Boys episodes, right? 3 of them. And I watched House of the Dragon. And to me, the Boys was good. Not great, but good. It has a core thing that I'm really excited about. There's some stuff I don't like. There's some stuff that's not working for me. But House of the Dragon just came in and completely delivered. Like, House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1, to me, felt like a complete return to form. And I'm super excited, man. I'm very pumped about that. And I'm excited to check out the rest of this season. We'll continue to cover it. We'll continue to up our knowledge of the Game of Thrones world. And it's kind of interesting. Like, I just am still surprised that House of the Dragon is able to sort of recover because, I mean, Game of Thrones, the backlash to the back half of those seasons was terrible. And that finale, it really felt like it destroyed a lot of the faith in the IP. And yet, like, dude, like, it feels like we're all the way back. And I get really excited to get to Winterfell, to see some of these houses. It's cool. It's cool. And I guess, you know, they're not doing the Jon Snow show, but they're doing the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which some of you guys are saying, like, that's going to be Robert's Rebellion. Is that really going to be Robert's Rebellion? Because that would be crazy. That's going to be a lot of characters we recognize. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, let's talk about some of this Deadpool stuff, man. Let's talk a little Deadpool. Let me get this pulled up. Doo 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 doo. Oh yes, a little bit of Deadpool, baby. Oh yeah, little Deadpool, baby. Oh yeah. Okay, so first up, when it comes to Deadpool, I saw this pop up and it's freaking incredible. Check this out. New images released from Total Film. Bro, what the actual fuck? Look at how awesome this dude looks as Wolverine. I kind of can't believe it, dude. Like, are we sure this is after 20 years of playing the character with a dude that's like in his 60s? Because, goddamn, this shit's looking awesome, dude. I love the battle damage. It's got like dirt all over it. Like, it looks really awesome. This is probably literally the best photo I've seen of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for this movie. This is incredible stuff. We've got this image here, which you can see Toad, Ray Park in the background there. And we've got more of these people like in the void. This might even be from earlier, right? Because one of the ways we're sort of tracking where this is at in the movie is due to the battle damage. And Logan has the shots, which I think are going to come from Deadpool when they first get onto the void. He's, you know, very beat up, but not crazy. Not like this, right? Like that. And by the way, I think some of this is dried blood. Like, I don't think all this is mud, man. I think some of this is dried blood, and it's gonna get real crazy. And on top of that, he himself looks like his skin and face is a little bit bloodier and dirtier and stuff like that. But it seems like it's in the same area. So I wonder if we're gonna have them like confront Cassandra Nova early in the movie and then maybe confront her once again. But you get a shot of Toad back there, which is kind of cool. And then you get this shot, him with ugly ass dog pull here. I think it's so funny that they still have the hair plugs on Wade's head here, which is pretty cool. You know, but one of the things I'm wondering, guys, is where's the battle damage on Deadpool's suit? Because doesn't it kind of look like his suit is in way better shape than Logan's, especially here, dude? Like, that's kind of looking rough right there. And Deadpool's looking a little bit clean to me. So I'm kind of interested, like, does he just, like, stay out of the conflict a little bit more? Does he let, like, Logan really be the brawler and he kind of stands back? I'm not really sure. He's a little bit more of, like, a methodical killer than Logan is. So that's kind of cool. The other thing that's really cool has to do with it getting into China. So not every Marvel movie in the past couple of years have gotten into China. But we have it here. Deadpool and Wolverine has been approved to release in China. The film will release the same day as the U.S. on July 26th. That's probably a Bob Iger thing. One of the first things Iger was able to do was sort of smooth the relationship with China, which, like, I honestly, I personally have mixed feelings about it. But just from the perspective of business, this is an incredible move because Deadpool wants to come out and have massive success, right? Like they want to have they want to break the record for R-rated, which it feels like they will. It's going to be like 200 million plus just domestic, which is crazy for an R-rated movie. But you add China to the mix on a same day, you're looking at a absolutely massive opening weekend for this film in the worldwide box office. Because I think Multiverse of Madness did like plus 300 million in its worldwide open, and that was without China. Spider-Man No Way Home, that freaking movie, it did its massive opening and its massive box office without China as well. And China used to be, and I guess we're just going to see when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine, China used to be an automatic 100, 200, maybe even 300 million for these Marvel movies. Like, it was a way for them to sort of pad their numbers and have, like, this massive fucking number that they could show everybody and be really successful. And especially because the box office this year has been so tame, it's going to be crazy to see how this movie performs. I'm really excited. I think we're going to get a lot more promotion in the weeks leading up to it. More trailers, more like little cameos and things spoiled probably in the trailers and things like that. But you add China to the mix, you've got these first look images, and Deadpool and Wolverine seems to be cooking. Probably going to save the summer box office and get people really, really excited once again about Marvel movies. So I'm pretty excited for it, and I wanted to just kind of chime in on that one because I think it's pretty cool. What do you guys think? You think China's going to add that bajillion dollars to the thing? Getting China equals 150 billion. I think you mean 1.5. I mean, dude, if China makes this thing have 150 billion, holy shit, bro. Like, then, like, something's probably wrong. But, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. You're just saying it's going to be super big, right? 1.5 bill? I think it's going to hit 1.5. Rossi says, I didn't watch Hot D because of the Game of Thrones ending. Started watching Hot D because of the channel, Den of Not the Acolyte. It's a great channel besides the pronunciations. Hot D is phenomenal. Really love it. Oh, that's great, dude. Glad you dig it. Yeah, I mean, I think you're guaranteed... I don't know if I would say you're guaranteed 1.5 at this point, but I think you're guaranteed $1 billion. I think you're definitely getting $1 billion. And if it gets towards $2 billion, oh man. Like, damn, dude. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely nuts, dude. $2 billion. And you'll have a lot of people saying Marvel's back. You'll have a lot of people debating that and talking about how these other movies might not be, I guess, good enough to keep that momentum. But it all starts there. It all starts there. Let me see if there's anything else we want to talk about. Oh, yeah. So this one's kind of crazy. We could pull this up. I mean, it's not that crazy. But apparently, Captain America Brave New World is going to continue its reshoots until June 26th. So, still got some stuff cooking there. There's questions about, obviously, like, what they're changing in the movie, if it'll actually be good. They added Giancarlo Esposito, and no, I don't think he's Doctor Doom. And no, I don't think he's going to be anything really cool. So, we'll see. Craig says, what the fuck's going on with Blade? So look, I've made a couple of different videos about Blade. There's like little updates that keep happening, but it's essentially all the same story. Like, Mahershala Ali is still just as committed as ever. He wants it. I think they promised him a little bit more. Like, maybe more money, although I think the deal was signed a long time ago. I think it's the fact that now he's going to be a part of the franchise, and they're doing Midnight Suns. So, basically, they had a writer named Michael Green. He came in, and his big thing was to change the movie from a period piece to the modern day. And probably also to change the movie from, like, a bunch of strong female characters to like actually just Blade killing vampires, right? So I think that's what Michael Green did. Now, they have a guy right now, Eric Pearson, who is working on the script currently. This guy is like a script doctor of sorts, and I think he works a lot within Marvel. So he was punching up the Fantastic Four movie. He's worked on other movies before. So Eric Pearson is punching up Michael Green's script. Now, originally, I believe that like Daniel RPK came out and implied that Michael Green had been fired. He says he didn't say that. I think he did. He was vague though, so maybe he, people just interpreted it wrong. Michael Green did not get fired. Michael Green is now writing the Midnight Suns movie. So basically, like, let me just, like, this is what happened. They were like, okay, we got to fix up Blade, and we want it to connect to Midnight Suns. So Michael Green comes in, and he's like, all right, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to change the movie so it's not a period piece, and we're going to not make it about strong female characters. We're just going to make it about Blade fighting vampires. Also, they added a male antagonist. I think Dracula, maybe Frost, Deacon Frost, we'll see. But yeah, so they added some stuff. Now, they took that guy off of that and they put him on Midnight Suns. So what I think that is going to be Michael Green actually setting up what the Blade movie leads into, that being the Midnight Suns. And Michael Green's script that he just did for Blade is getting punched up by Eric Pearson. So, does that make sense? Do you get it? Do you understand? And basically, I'm not worried about Blade, dude. Like, I guess I'm a little bit worried about Blade just because Marvel in general, their track record has been hit or miss. But, like, none of the new updates actually have me worried about Blade, right? And then the rap, right, Humberto Gonzalez, like, he came out over the weekend, or maybe it was on Friday, and he put it out there that Blade lost its director. But that happened months ago. That probably happened when they brought Michael Green to fix the script. And apparently that guy, I forget the guy's name, but apparently that director, very difficult to work with. I think Mahershala didn't like working with him. And so, yeah, they're moving stuff around. Yeah. Space Trek Serial says, not gonna lie, I'll never watch Hot D. Got me so mad with the ending. It all leads to Bran as king and water bottles in the shots. Too angering. Can't do it. Yeah, I felt a lot of that same anger, right? But I just got to tell you, House of the Dragon is fantastic. And I think, it's funny you bring this up, okay? I wonder, chat, who can figure out how I'm going to tie this question to Kathleen Kennedy? I wonder if you can figure it out. I bet Adam can figure it out. Because I'm about to tie this shit to Kathleen Kennedy. Okay. I think one of the main reasons that a lot of people... Oh, geez. Vince Barter says Game of Thrones ending wasn't that bad. Y'all are tripping hard as fuck. I'm sorry, Vince. I hard disagree. I think it was that bad. I think it was ass. Yeah. I think the end of the original Game of Thrones is worse than The Last Jedi. That's what I think. You know what? Fuck it. The end of Game of Thrones is worse than The Acolyte. Hell yeah. Okay, but listen. Do you know what the difference is? Do you know why people were willing to give House of the Dragon a shot? Anybody? Dude, the end was terrible, but no, it's not worse than The Last Jedi. Yes, it is. Anybody? Bueller? Exactly. Wade Skywalker got it. It's because Dan and Dave, the showrunners of the original Game of Thrones, are not involved. So you had a leadership change. Basically, the guys that were running the show when the shit was awful are no longer involved. And that allowed the fans, including myself, to be optimistic about what it would look like without those people. And that is exactly why they need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. And probably other people too. Because Star Wars needs fans to be able to imagine that the next thing will truly be different. Because I think there is a lot of that same anger, right? And that just helps. It just helps to get the people that were responsible for the thing that fans are mad about to get them out of there. Yes, and also having George more involved is great. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a part of it too. For sure. I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this Miguel O'Hara stuff. And then I think we're going to get out of here, guys. Blade is still scheduled to start filming this year. Okay, yeah, we already talked about that. Okay. So, I thought this shit was really cool, right? I thought this was awesome, but I've seen a lot of people upset about it. I've seen a lot of people have different takes than I have had. And this has to do with a report that Sony, like, wait, hang on. This has to do with a report that Sony and Marvel originally had a plan that was going to involve Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, working with Kang the Conqueror. Now, one of the reasons I think this is so cool is because this is something I was told a long time ago. This was one of those things that I was told, but I was told I can't talk about it. Okay? I've even hinted at it a little bit in some of the videos and some of the streams because it would come up. Like, I remember one time Rob brought it up. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Rob brought it up in one of the streams and I literally just like paused and he was like, what? Wait, what? And I was like, yeah, no, I mean, you just said something and I want to say this thing, but I'm not supposed to and stuff like that. Right. So I've actually known about this for a long time and I thought it was super cool because I was like, oh shit, like this means that they were potentially going to tie a big-time Spider-Man character that was being built up in Across the Spider-Verse that they would then establish in live action, and they would take that character and make him actually working for Kang. Now, number one, right off the bat, this means that Marvel Studios is thinking about characters, whether they're heroes or villains or anti-heroes, and they're thinking about, we could take some of these characters, set them up, and have them be proxies for Kang, be working for Kang the Conqueror or one of the Kang variants in some ways. Now, this is something we thought was going to happen. Like, a lot of us believed that in the same way that the Infinity Stones were going to be like MacGuffins that would eventually reveal to be the stones that were going to be what Thanos was after, you could do that with other villains throughout the multiverse, right? So, I just think that's really cool. It's a confirmation that that idea was real. And Marvel was thinking big. Because I think you go after a character like Spider-Man 2099 if you're thinking big. And you want to do something really, really cool. Now, ultimately, Sony says no. But according to this insider, Cryptic HD, Sony still has plans for a live-action version of Miguel O'Hara in his own team. So, you know, Sony's kind of doing that classic thing where they're like, that's a really cool idea, Kevin. We're going to totally take that and do it in a terrible Sony way. But it's still cool, right? It's still cool. It shows that it's awesome. It shows what they're planning. And I think, to me, it also shows that Marvel might do this just within the MCU now. And I don't know if they're going to have people connected to Kang exactly because it kind of seems like they're going to go away from Kang. They might still do the Beyonder Kang, and I do believe that's what they're going to do for Avengers 5 and Secret Wars, right? But it just shows that that's like the principle. That's like an idea. And I wonder if we're going to get some villains in some of the movies that are about to come out, like your Fantastic Four movie, probably not Captain America, but maybe like your Shang-Chi movie. Are we about to start to see multiversal characters that will have a connection to the Beyonder Kang? And, you know, I've also kind of come around to this idea, guys, that Avengers 5 might end with the destruction of Eternity, which essentially would destroy all the spaces in between different universes, which would make it so all these universes just exist now without barriers in like one mega universe or something like that, right? So I would love that, dude. I think it would be really cool. So I thought this story with Miguel and Spider-Man 2099 was really freaking cool, but I was surprised at how many fans and stuff just thought it was silly or thought it was not a good idea. They're glad that it's not happening. I mean, I understand that it's Sony, totally. Like, I get it. But right now, we're sort of faced with Sony doing it on their own, right? They're just going to take Spider-Man 2099 and do their own thing, maybe with Noel, which is a whole nother thing. And that's confirmed to be something Sony wants to do. So I would have liked it this way better, where like Marvel Studios had some kind of control over Spider-Man 2099. So that's kind of what I thought, but interesting story nonetheless. I think it sort of shows the perspective, maybe some of the planning. And I think it fell apart, number one, because Sony didn't really want to do it, but also because I think Marvel Studios is going away from Kang. So it's kind of fun. And hopefully it manifests itself in like a new way, but with maybe Beyonder Kang or like Doctor Doom and the multiversal Masters of Evil or like the Council of Red with Mephisto. There's like a lot of cool theories that I'm kind of cooking up right now. But nonetheless, I thought it was cool. Would love to know what you guys think. You think it's cool? Do you think it's dope or nah? Rossi says, would you be willing to sleep with KK to save Star Wars? No. No, I would not. Let it burn. Trev says, Kang manipulating... Oh, geez, what the hell? Kang manipulating Miguel to believe that breaking canon caused the universe destruction when it really was Kang destroying stuff would be interesting. Yeah, exactly. That's like what I mean. Is like that could be really fun. I like it. Dar Boyd says, serious question. Why are we making Blade and Midnight Suns when Avengers is struggling and X-Men is being developed? We need to narrow the focus. Well, I think partially it's just because of Mahershala Ali. Like, literally. Right? So, like, if you've got a big-time act... Like, think about it like this. You got this big-time actor in Mahershala, which, by the way, have we forgotten, and I hope we haven't forgotten, but have we forgotten how good this guy is? I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. This guy is way more talented than Jonathan Majors, in my opinion. I've watched Jonathan Majors, like, in a lot of different stuff, and he's great. But his MCU work was, like, other than He Who Remains in the first season, it was pretty uninspired. Dude, Mahershala Ali is like that fucking guy, dude. Like, he is, even though he has spoken one line in the MCU and he's been off camera, he is still the cream of the crop of MCU actor quality. Like, maybe you could say Jeremy Renner's up there, Benedict Cumberbatch is up there. You know, RDJ, obviously. But really, you look at the... I mean, dude, I'm telling you, like, Mahershala Ali is just as good, if not better, than all of those people. Like, did y'all ever watch him in that True Detective show? Bro, after I watched him in True Detective, I was like, this guy is him. Because he plays 3 different versions of the same... Dude, Ben Kingsley, that's actually a good point, yeah. Kind of wasted in the MCU, but he is an incredible actor. But yeah, like, dude, Mahershala is him. So, you get Mahershala to be Blade. And you kind of, like, fuck around, go through a identity crisis, have shit fall apart. It's been 5 years. I think part of the reason they're moving on Midnight Suns is because they want to tap into that talent. I believe Midnight Suns could be a franchise that's on the level of Avengers. And in fact, if you had to pick right now between a Midnight Suns team, right, with Mahershala, let's just say Werewolf by Night, who else? Maybe Scarlet Witch. Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. You put that team together, and you look at the current Avengers roster with like She-Hulk and Sam Wilson and Shuri as Black Panther. Like I'm telling you, legitimately, I'd rather go to the Midnight Sun movie. Right? So I actually think it's a good play. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's a little bit more fresh. Like Avengers and X-Men, they feel kind of similar, but Midnight Suns could be completely different. Like they could go into hell or other dimensions. They could do all sorts of crazy stuff. So I think Midnight Suns is the play, and I think that'll be cool. Like I would be excited to show up to the Midnight Suns film. Because I think that roster's actually tight. Our boy Kit Harington, yeah, I could see him being involved in that. And I like Kit, but he doesn't do anything in Eternals. Like he's totally wasted in that movie. Haha, changing the video title brought me back. Oh, hell yeah. Explain what Midnight Suns is? I mean, there's different versions of the team, but it's like the Avengers for the supernatural. That's basically the way to think of it. Yeah. So I think it would be cool. Man thing? Oh, hell yeah. I think that would be fun for sure. Okay, let me catch up on some chats here, guys. Let me catch up on some chat subs. Then we'll hang out for a little bit longer, and then we'll call it. All right, I got to go all the way back. A1 Exec FPS says, for the realm. Oh, hell yeah. Zach, thank you for a gifted membership, brother. Really appreciate the support. Frex says, Game of Thrones might seriously be the greatest franchise of all time, though I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. Kragan's Stark appearance was awesome. Aegon is actually likable. Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this because, I mean, I think the only thing that's close to Game of Thrones right now is Marvel. And Marvel is, you know, obviously in a little bit of a downturn. I think Game of Thrones could be considered the biggest franchise in the world right now. Like, I legitimately think that. And if they get the next spin-off show to be as big, because this is what's crazy, right? Like, you're talking about a show that gets 30 million views per episode. At least that's what it was at the end of season 1, right? But there are still people that haven't watched it. There are still people in this chat that have not watched it. There are people in our Discord that are like, I still have never gotten into Game of Thrones. And they're still, like, going to get into it. And, you know, despite that really, really bad ending to the original show, it's still worth your time to watch that show because it is really good in a lot of different ways. House of the Dragon is phenomenal, dude. And when it's all said and done, I bet we'll enjoy rewatching House of the Dragon even more than we enjoy watching the original Game of Thrones show. That's insane. And then you extend that further, right? You extend it to the next spin-off show. Bro, if the next spin-off show is doing numbers like House of the Dragon, then I think it's the biggest show and the biggest franchise in the world. I mean, what's bigger? Like, legitimately, what is bigger than Game of Thrones right now? You could say, you could absolutely say Marvel, and I think that would be true. And Star Wars, even despite the incredible downfall, Star Wars is still a massive IP. I mean, it sells books, comics, video games every year. Right? Harris Cake? Yes, Harris Cake is bigger. True. The Boys. I don't think The Boys is even close to Game of Thrones. It's a very successful show. But I don't think The Boys is getting 20, 30 million views an episode. My depression? Jesus. That sucks. I'm sorry. Leon, I'm sorry. Oh, shit. Andre says I agree. Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings. So here's my thing with Lord of the Rings. How many people are buying Lord of the Rings shit every single year? Pokemon? Yes, Pokemon is probably that big. But look, these things ebb and flow. One Piece? Yes, One Piece is that big. One Piece has sold 400 million copies. It's got a live action show, which is apparently very successful. And I think that's just going to help to grow the show. And the thing that's crazy about One Piece, too, like if you talk about One Piece still has the biggest mystery in all of fiction. That is to say, what is the One Piece? It still hasn't been revealed. After over 1,100 chapters, we still don't know what the One Piece is. That'll be the biggest spoiler of all time. Like, and that's going to happen probably sometime next year. It'll finally be revealed what the One Piece is, and it will legitimately be the biggest spoiler of all time. What I mean by that is if you were that guy and you went on Twitter and you tried to spoil it, and you were like, holy shit, I can't believe the One Piece was friendship the whole time, you would piss more people off than any other spoiler. Yeah. Batman has sold 500 million? What? According to who? According to who? But I gotta say, I really do think Game of Thrones is potentially the biggest IP on the planet. Oh, more links! I'm gonna time his ass out! Oh, it's cool. I'll check that later. Wikipedia, maybe. Superman has sold 600 million? Sheesh. It's interesting. I mean, I love this part of the conversation. I like this sort of almost business perspective on these different franchises. It's obviously true that like when you put out new content, you get it back into the consciousness, right? I think that's the whole point. I mean, why is Marvel and Star Wars like continuing to make content? They want that IP to be top of mind. They want you to continuously have a reason to engage in that IP so that you go spend money on like action figures, merchandise, the parks, stuff like that. Like, that's kind of wild. Harry Potter? I mean, Harry Potter's massive. How many books has Harry Potter sold? It's got to be crazy, huh? Acolyte sold 2 billion. Oh. Well, maybe everybody's wrong about Acolyte then. Maybe Acolyte is the shit. I think Game of Thrones is poised to even grow further. You've got 2 more books, which hopefully George finishes before he dies. And then you've got this show. You've got other spin-off shows. All they need is like a theme park. You know? Which I guess like that would be similar to Harry Potter Land, right? Right? Because you got Harry Potter Land. I think it's Universal Studios, right? Harry Potter books have sold over 600 million copies. God damn. Damn, that's crazy. George R.R. Martin is 75. If he gets even one more book done before he dies, it'll be a miracle. Yeah, I hope he does. I really hope he does. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Like, I just think Game of Thrones, like, it's the biggest show ever. I think before that show, the biggest show ever was potentially Walking Dead. Goosebumps has sold 400 million. Okay, but that's a great example, Trev, because if you think about it, Goosebumps is not a big IP. They sold a shit ton of books. People know Goosebumps, but it's not like Goosebumps movies keep getting made. It's not like Goosebumps shows are being made. It's not like people are buying Goosebumps merch. It's not like there are like communities and channels thriving off of the Goosebumps shit. You know what I'm saying? Lost was huge. Stranger Things is pretty big. Yeah, but you know, I'd love to know the views on Stranger Things because it's undoubtedly the biggest show that Netflix has. But I don't think it gets to House of the Dragons numbers. Although they say, dude, it's so weird how they calculate that shit. Because doesn't Netflix count like they do that weird thing where they take the total minutes watched divided by the episode length and then count views? Right, exactly. It's like Adam said. Every streamer has their own metric. Law and Order is the biggest show. Yeah, but here's the thing. Law and Order is normally the biggest show. I don't think Law and Order is bigger than Game of Thrones. What's the viewership totals on like those shows? Because I think they get like 20 million. Squid Game was for a month. Squid Game was huge. Squid Game was huge. I don't know. It's interesting. I would love to be able to like look at the data a little bit more. Bluey clears all these shows. Yeah, I don't think so, but Bluey in its own right is incredible. I mean, what it's been able to accomplish is nuts. But I would love, I want to see this data. Invincible, sadly, no. Invincible didn't even chart. Season 2 didn't ever break into the top 10 overall or top 10 originals. Yeah. NFL football. Well, okay. So what's the viewership on the Super Bowl? It's like 100 million, 150 million. God, that's fascinating.